Can I get you some more coffee?
No, I have an early appointment, and I still don't know if I want to take this case.
Yeah, what's the problem?
Oh, it's a little complicated.
Well, try me. Sometimes us high school graduates can understand some things if we really put our mind to it.
It's a prenatal contract.
What the hell is that?
A contract which negotiated the custody of children who hadn't been conceived yet.
Well, that's ridiculous. The children hadn't even been born yet, and they're already treating them like bedroom furniture? Now, why would anybody do that?
Well, my potential client did it in case he and his wife got a divorce for any reason, including adultery.
Let me guess. This man has now cheated on his wife and wants you to get him out of his own contract.
Actually, she cheated on him, and now he wants me to enforce it.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like a man is out for revenge to me.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm not sure I'm going to take this case.
Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying.
I'm sorry to bother you, but are you Miss Mary Elizabeth O'Brien?
Why, is Ed McMahon hiding around the corner or something with another check for me?
I'm sorry?
Oh, nothing. What can I do for you?
Is Johnny O'Brien your brother?
What's this about? Who are you?
My name's Twan, and Johnny O'Brien's my father.
Any day now, I will hear you say goodbye, my love, and you'll be on your way. Then my wild, beautiful bird, you will have flown. Easy now, I'll be gone alone.
What did you say?
I'm sorry, honey, I got to run.
I think you're going to want to stay for this. What was that last part you said? Who did you say is your father?
Johnny O'Brien.
Why don't you come on in? Wait a minute.
So is my father here?
Look, I don't know who you are, but my brother Johnny was killed in Vietnam over 30 years ago. What are you doing?
I'm leaving.
Now, look, you can't just walk into my house and tell me that you're Johnny's son and then leave.
But if my father's dead, I have no reason to stay.
I don't care anything about your reasons for staying or leaving. I'd just like to know if any of this is true.
And I want to know if it's true that my father's dead. Or are you lying because he doesn't want to see me?
Why would I lie about something like that?
He wouldn't be the first.
Look, if you are who you say you are, then I'm your Aunt Mary Elizabeth. And you don't have any reason to leave unless you're the one who's lying. Where exactly did you say you're from?
From Sadek, Vietnam, in the Mekong Delta.
Johnny served in Mekong Delta in '65.
Yes, I know.
And how long have you been looking for Johnny?
I've wanted to find him for years.
And after all that time, how did you find me?
With this. They were left behind by my father. Do you recognize these things?
Look, Renee.
We made that for Johnny before he left.
Are you the Renee that I read about in the letter she wrote to my father?
Yes, I guess I am.
I wrote this when I was 12 years old. Where did you find these things?
My mother gave them to me so I could find my father. Here's a picture of them together.
Oh, my God. It's Johnny.
And there's my mother, Kim, too.
Were they married?
No. But my mother said they were in love.
Can I talk to her?
That's not possible.
Why?
My mother's dead.
Oh, sorry.
I better go.
Well, don't go. You just got here. I mean, where are you staying?
I'm staying at the Bamagator Inn near the station.
Well, when do you have to leave? And how can I write you? I got about 1,000,000 questions.
Do you still play baseball?
Huh?
Growing up, my mother used to tell me stories about my Mary Canaan, who one day my father said would play baseball. Do you still play?
Sometimes.
I'm sorry about your brother.
He's my brother. You're supposed to be happy he's coming home.
Yes, I am Mary Elizabeth, but this is a Navy hat.
So?
So, Johnny is in the Army.
Let's just try it again. 1, 2, 3. When Johnny comes marching home again.
Hurrah, hurrah,
When Johnny comes marching home again.
hurrah, hurrah.
Why aren't you marching?
Because I feel stupid, Mary Elizabeth. I look more like Captain Hook than a captain in the Army. See, arg, hey, mateys. Sure.
It's not funny. When Johnny comes home from boot camp, everything has to be perfect. So start marching. 1, 2, 3. When Johnny comes marching home again.
Hurrah, hurrah,
When Johnny comes marching home again.
hurrah, hurrah.
The men will cheer and the boys will shout and the ladies they will all turn out. We'll all feel gay when Johnny comes marching home.
A little higher. He's here. He's here, Daddy. Hurry. Guitar, guitar. Guitar.
Mom? Dad?
Surprise! Woo! Welcome home, Johnny. Oh, I missed you.
I missed you too.
Glad to see you, son.
Dad?
Hey, not so tight, Private.
Me, Renee, and Collier have been working on the play just for you.
Oh, Lord, you're as skinny as a fillet of fish. Aren't they feeding you, dear?
Ooh, letting you bathe?
No, 3 squares a day, 2 showers a week.
I think I'd just die in the Army if I missed my daily soak.
Well, I fixed for you a feast fit for a general tonight.
Oh, there they are. Mom, Dad, I'll be back in a few hours.
Well, what about my dinner, dear?
Yeah, and what about our play, Johnny?
I'm sorry, Mama, but the guys from the 14th are waiting. I gotta go.
Now, you go on. You and the guys go out and you have yourself a hell of a good time.
Thanks, Dad.
Thanks for waiting, Mr. Johnson. It's been quite a morning.
Yeah, I'm sure it has.
Read the contract. It's quite creative. I don't think it'll hold up in court. There's no precedent.
Oh, well, not yet there isn't. But 30 years ago, there was no precedent for prenuptial agreements either. Look around now, and a lot of marriages wouldn't happen without one.
That's fair enough, but tell me, what makes you think that you have the right to your children's primary custody?
That's a ridiculous question.
Excuse me?
You wouldn't ask my wife that.
I'm not being asked to represent your wife.
Look, are you interested in helping me or not? Because if you're as biased as the courts who think a father has to prove he loves his children, then tell me now.
Mr. Johnson, if I weren't interested in possibly helping you, I wouldn't have agreed to see you. So why don't we just back this up a bit and start with you sitting down?
Son.
Tell me, what was the motivation for a contract like this in the first place?
Well, the simple answer is protect my heart.
What's the not-so-simple answer?
Well, I was married once before, and I had 2 beautiful children. Mr. Stexton, do you have any idea how it feels to have a police officer knock at your door and tell you that he's there to walk your children across the street to their mother's car so she can drive out of the state with them? And thanks to the courts, there's nothing I can do to stop her. Those are my children, Miss Jackson. They're my reason for everything. And I couldn't live through that again, so that's all the motivation I needed to draw up that contract.
You also have 2 boys from your current marriage, is that correct?
Yeah, that's, Derek is 9, Darren's 7.
I'll need to talk to them.
Why? It's not about them, it's about the contract.
To a certain point, but it's also about the children.
I don't want them involved in this.
I'm afraid it's a little late for that because the court's primary concern will be what's in their best interest.
Best interest according to who? The same courts that took my children from me the first time?
To start with, according to me, because until I talk to Derek and Darren and find out if living with you is what they want and is in their best interest, I will not take this case. The decision is up to you.
Well, it'll have to be tonight.
Why tonight?
Because Tuesdays are the only night my ex-wife allows me to see my own children.
What about DNA testing him?
There's no time for that. That's not all that rare. According to the internet, he could be one of over 100,000 Amerasian kids who were left behind in the war.
But what kind of son waits 30 years to find his father?
I don't know. But what if I just let Johnny's son walk out the door? You think about how hard it must have been for him to get to us.
I have, and what I want to know is how he found us.
From the letters I wrote to Johnny.
No, those letters that have your parents' address on them, not ours. Something's not right here, Mary Elizabeth.
I don't know if any of it's true or not. All I know is when he was standing there, I kept staring at him, and then there it was. He had Johnny's smile.
Now, where are you going?
He could be family Collier.
All this because of a smile?
As long as he's here in Birmingham, he belongs here with us, with his cousins, and his Aunt Mary Elizabeth, and his Uncle Collier. You coming, Uncle?
Vietnam, Amerasians are called Boy Da, the dust of life.
Why do they call you that?
Well, because there's a saying there that goes, a family without a father is like a house without a roof. And without a roof, the spirit of the house is lost and it turns to dust.
We have a saying something like that here in America. The father's the king of the castle. Isn't that right, Collier?
Yeah, until the Queen Bee returns to the hive.
So, did you ever meet my Uncle Johnny?
No, most of us were born when our American fathers were gone.
So how exactly do you know that Johnny's your father?
Well, truthfully, I only know what my mother's told me. But she talked a lot about him.
And Johnny's things you got there in that box, how'd you get her hands on them?
Well, that's one of the stories my mother told a lot. Because it was also the last time she saw my father. He was in our hut, helping my mother one night. She was sick because of me, I think. And the Viet Cong were getting close, so he had to leave in a hurry. The next day, when he came back for his things, we were gone because they burned our hut to the ground that night.
Let me get us some coffee.
How about some Grandma's cookies?
My grandparents. Do they live nearby?
Just across town?
I'd love to meet my father's father.
Your father's mother's quite a hoot herself.
Oh, yeah. Excuse me for a second.
Do you guys really eat dogs over there?
Davis.
Only the ones that bark while we sleep.
Mary Elizabeth, I don't think telling him that he can meet your parents is a very good idea.
He could be their grandchild. I can't exactly keep that from them.
But if you take him there and you're wrong, you're going to break their hearts and you never forgive yourself.
Maybe you're right.
Now you're talking sense.
I'll talk to Petey first.
No, Mary Elizabeth, not Petey. You know you can't believe half of what comes out of his mouth. Remember last New Year's Eve, he started drinking and swore he was engaged to Sharon Stone?
I told him she was already married. Look, he's also the only person we know who served with Johnny. If anybody knows the truth, it's Petey.
You must be Derek, and you must be Darren. Do you know why you're here today? Can you tell me?
My mom and dad are still fighting.
Has anyone told you why they're fighting? Who?
Our dad.
What did he say?
He said that Mom loves us very much and he does too.
Is that all?
Daddy says that they're fighting because they both want to be able to kiss us goodnight, but they can't because we're not living together no more.
You guys are very lucky to have everyone love you so much, aren't you?
That's what my daddy says.
Can I ask you one more question? Do you want to live with your mom? Do you want to live with your dad?
Do you see any commies out there in the darkness, Sergeant O'Brien? Nope, I don't see nothing out there but the faces of my loving family. Is that what I think it is? I believe so, General Jackson. It's a white flag. The war is over. We're going home. We're going home. That must be Johnny now. When Johnny comes marching home again. When Johnny comes marching home again.
Hurrah, hurrah.
You're not Collier.
No, I'm Tammy. Hey there, Johnny boy.
Hey, Tammy.
Hi.
Who's Tammy?
Didn't you tell her about me yet, Johnny?
We just met last night.
Now can we finish the play, Johnny boy?
Maybe after y'all rehearse a little bit.
You were supposed to come inside and say hurrah, hurrah.
Yeah, I know that, Mary Elizabeth, but she's bigger than me, and she was in my way.
Now you've ruined everything. I knew you would.
You want a soda, Johnny boy?
They're in the kitchen.
That way?
Johnny, I think I need a little advice, you know, the man-to-man kind.
Well, I think you're right. You know, tonight Tammy and I are gonna watch a scary movie on television. Maybe you and Mary Elizabeth could join us.
You mean like a double date? I don't know.
Oh, come on, Collier, live a little dangerously. By tonight, I promise you, you will know everything you need to know about women. Okay. Now, you remember the advice I gave you, right?
Right. Girls like it when guys act like the boss, but do it nice.
Right. Just gotta do it nice. Now, if you get into trouble, just do what I do, okay?
Okay.
Oh, there's room here for you, Johnny.
I kept your seat warm for you, Johnny boy.
Popcorn?
Oh, sure, I'd love some, Johnny.
Thanks, Johnny.
Popcorn?
No, thanks.
Oh, come on, Mary Elizabeth. I brought this for you, so eat it.
Oh, Johnny, this is the part where the monster...
Mary Elizabeth, don't go ruining a surprise for Tammy.
Let go of my shoulder.
I will when I'm ready.
You want some popcorn, Collier?
Sure.
No, that's okay. I'll just give him some of mine. So what'd I ask you? Could that be true?
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of nookie and nam. Didn't matter what it cost, the only thing we had to look forward to.
She said Johnny was different. What you mean by that?
Yeah, we go out whoring, he'd find himself something better to do.
Whoring, Petey?
Oh, what, you want me to put a pretty face on it? Hell, the whores didn't. You want a beer?
No, thanks.
Might have a drink.
It's your bar. Your liver.
So, what was the name of that woman again?
Kim, too. You remember?
Nah, I don't think so, but if Johnny was doing anything with her, probably would have known about it because he'd have been bragging just like everybody else. She must have meant something to him.
Well, I don't know what to think. I mean, this boy's got a picture of Johnny, a letter I wrote to him.
Let me guess. He carries them around in a little box that he takes everywhere.
How do you know that?
That's what I heard. Some nasty stuff going on over there. There's a black market in the personal effects of dead vets. You know, maybe stuff they left behind. Maybe they took it off the bodies when they were down.
Why? What good would that do anybody?
Oh, they can sell it to boys like your Twan. You know, they can come over here and try to prove that they're related to some GI so they can live in the great U.S. of A.
I will have that beer.
You know, I got a buddy over at the VA. If you want, I can give him a call, see if there's anything he can dig up.
Your Honor, my client made a mistake outside of her marriage, and she deeply regrets it. But should she lose her God-given right to raise her children because of a contract concocted by her husband? These are her children. They're not property to be contracted away. Contracting of human rights is an antiquated practice, Your Honor. It should not be resurrected here. And what kind of a man pressures his wife into signing away her own children? Not one that should be granted full custody of these children, Your Honor.
How does the law protect a father who loves his children? Answer, it doesn't. Because inside the courtroom, with all due respect, Your Honor, sexism is alive and well, but in reverse. Mr. Schillings asked what kind of man my client is. The question that I ask is what kind of mother his client is. Carol Morgan didn't sign this contract with a gun to her head. She entered into it willingly and fully aware of what she was signing. Ms. Morgan also knew what she was risking when she jumped into bed with another man while my client was at home tucking his children in. Mr. Schillings dared to mention God when his client didn't just break the prenatal contract, but a pact, a vow, if you will, with God in the form of a marital contract. Both contracts, Your Honor, were valid when they were entered into, but my client is the only one who has taken either contract seriously.
Well, thank God you stopped me from taking him over to my parents. I mean, what if what Petey said is true?
Was Petey drinking?
Well, of course he was.
Well, then you can't be sure because you know when Petey's drinking, he'll say anything.
Why you're whispering?
Shh. Because he's upstairs. Shh.
Who? One?
Shh.
Anybody home? I baked a cake.
Oh, dear God in heaven, it's Mama.
I call your kids.
Well, hi, Catherine.
Mama?
It's red velvet, dear, your favorite.
Thank you so much. Why don't you come on in the kitchen?
Who's that, dear?
It's Twan. Twan, meet Catherine. Catherine, this is Twan.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, honey, it is a pleasure to meet you, too. Who is he, dear?
That's Twan.
I know that, dear, but what is he doing here?
Here? He's, helping Davis with his math homework.
They're very good at that sort of thing. Call you some cake?
You lied to your mother about Twan?
Well, what else could I do? I mean, if I hadn't, he'd probably be over there right now stealing something else that isn't his.
Don't you think she's got a right to know?
If it's true, yes, but I don't know. After talking to Petey, I don't know. I mean, he says some people over there, they're just like buzzards, just hovering around, waiting for people to die so they can pick apart the carcass.
And me?
And then I started thinking, what about that patch that we made for Johnny? That was sewn on his shirt when he left. I remember that because he told me. He said, I'm going to wear this right over my heart.
I mean, listen to me. You don't know if any of this is true.
And what if it is? And Johnny died about to be a father in love with a woman I'll never know.
Do you remember when your ex-husband first mentioned his need for a prenatal contract?
It was about 6 months into our marriage.
Did he ever talk about it before you were married?
No,
What about having children? Did he talk about that before the marriage?
all the time. He made sure I knew how much he loved the children from his first marriage.
So would it be fair to say that when you got married, you fully expected to raise a family with your husband?
Yes, we even talked about how many and picked out Derek and Darren's name.
So what did you think when he first said to you that he wanted to negotiate child custody issues before he'd be willing to impregnate you?
I thought he was joking. I'd never heard of anything like it.
You're not the only one.
Objection, grandstanding?
Sustained.
Noted. But eventually you did sign that contract. Why?
Because I felt like I didn't have a choice. It was either sign it or not have children.
So in other words, you felt that your family's future was in jeopardy.
Objection, he's leading the witness.
Yes, I did.
Sustained. Mr. Schillings.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Miss Jackson.
Miss Morgan, let's talk about the contract. Why did you sign it?
I loved him, and he asked me to.
At the time, did you feel that he was taking unfair advantage of you because you were a woman?
No.
Did your husband threaten you in any way?
Physically, you mean?
In any way. Did he ever actually say to you, sign this or we will never have children together?
No.
How about sign this or I want a divorce?
No.
Was there anything in the contract that you willingly signed that you felt was unfair?
What do you mean unfair?
The terms, Miss Morgan, were they ridiculous? I mean, was there anything in it about getting a divorce if he found dirty underwear on the floor?
No, of course not.
How about insisting on sexual relations a certain number of times a week?
That's ridiculous.
In fact, didn't the contract clearly state that if either one of you wanted out of this marriage, that all you had to do was be honest about it and that you would share equal custody of the children?
I believe so, yes.
But that one of the ways that you would lose equal custody was if one of you had an adulterous affair, and you were fully aware of that, weren't you?
Yes, I was aware of that.
One last question. Can you give me any reason why the contract that you voluntarily signed should not be enforced?
Because I'm their mother. And children belong with their mother.
Yes, they do, but they also belong with their father. So I guess the court will have to make a choice between a loving father and an adulterous mother.
Your Honor.
No further questions?
I have a question.
Yes, Mary Elizabeth.
Where's Johnny tonight?
Well, he's out, dear, with the boys from his boot camp.
Well, what about Teresa? Where's she?
She's out with the boys, too.
I wish that she'd go to boot camp so Johnny could stay home. What's the matter with Mama?
I think she's just upset that Johnny is not here for dinner tonight.
Yeah, so am I.
Excuse me, Mary Elizabeth.
Why are you packing up all the stuff I gave you?
Because I don't want any of it. Because I'm mad at you.
Well, I thought you might be. That's why I came here to talk to you.
Well, too bad. Because I don't want to talk to you.
Oh, come on, Mary Elizabeth. What did I do that was so awful?
You changed, Johnny. And I don't like it. And I don't like you anymore either. So here you go.
Well, I think we got ourselves a little problem now because I still love you. Oh, come on. You can't stay mad at your big brother now, can you?
So where's Tammy?
Well, I guess I decided that since I'm going to be leaving and going to be so far away that I better just take my heart with me. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. I'm not going back to boot camp.
You're not? That's great. You get to stay home.
Well, no, I'm not staying here either.
How come?
Well, a couple of days ago, I got my orders. And I wanted to let you know that that's probably why I've been acting kind of different and all.
What's wrong, Johnny?
Tomorrow morning, they're sending me to fight. Somewhere in Vietnam called the Mekong Delta.
Looks like this Chuan person's been in the States for at least 10 years.
No, he just got here. He came looking for my brother.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Sims, but the report says a Chuan and a Kim Tu Win applied for American citizenship in Missouri in '89. Who's Kim Tu?
Well, that's his mother, but he says she died in Vietnam.
Well, then, I hope you believe in miracles, because it looks like she was resurrected in St. Louis.
I told you, Mary Elizabeth, you can't trust none of them. I bet you Scotch Rock she ain't even his mom.
Then who is she?
Or someone just paid him to say she was.
It's called piggybacking. Someone in Vietnam with a lot of money pays an Amerasian to say they're related. That way, if someone like Chuan gets American citizenship by deceiving someone like you...
It makes it easier for them to do the same.
Sorry, I couldn't help you.
Mr. Johnson, weren't you afraid that a prenatal contract would instill a sense of doubt in your commitment to your marriage?
No, because she knew the only reason for the contract in the first place was that I'd been hurt before.
I don't understand. You felt in order to make your marriage work that this contract would help? How?
I needed something to make it okay for me to try to raise another family and not be afraid that what happened before would happen again. Once it was signed, I knew I could trust again.
So you must have made it very clear that if your wife didn't sign this contract, there would be no children.
No, not really. In fact, after I came up with the whole idea, she was the one that contacted her attorney, Mr. Schillings, over there before I could.
If she was so against the idea, why'd she do that?
She said it's because she trusted me. I know I trusted her.
Would you have had children without a contract?
Absolutely. Having children is why people get married.
Did you tell her that?
Many times.
And what was the need for the contract?
Because we both agreed that having children wasn't the point. But raising them in a home filled with trust was. And signing the contract would do that for me. She knew that. And that's why she agreed to sign.
Thank you.
Isn't it true, Mr. Johnson, that my client wasn't the one that filed for divorce?
Yes, that's right.
And isn't it also true that she begged your forgiveness? That she apologized for what she admits was the biggest mistake of her life?
Yes.
In fact, isn't it true that you dreamed up this whole idea of a prenatal contract so that one day you could use it against her and raise these children by yourself?
No. Because the truth is, I was hoping the contract would never be used. That was the whole point.
Oh, come on, Mr. Johnson, admit it. Your wife slept with another man, and you hate her for it.
I don't hate her. I just can't forgive her.
For what she did to you or for what she did to the children? Because, Mr. Johnson, the children don't care about your male ego or some line in the contract. They just want their mother back. Isn't that true?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is testifying.
Overruled.
But, Your Honor, counsel cannot...
Overruled. Now sit down, Miss Jackson.
Tell me something, Mr. Johnson. If someday your kids do something that you can't forgive them for, are you going to walk out on them, too?
My children didn't make a vow to me. I made a vow to them. And that vow was to spend my life trying to make their lives better.
Making a speech, Your Honor.
Answering the question.
Please continue, Mr. Johnson.
My wife made the same vow to the children. But instead of keeping it, she made a choice to abandon them. And that's why I'm here. That's what I will never be able to forgive her for. And I don't know how you or anyone else can expect me to feel any different.
Twan,
Yes?
why did you lie to me about your mother?
What?
She's not dead, and you've been here since 1989.
I'll get my things.
No, you're not going anywhere till I find out the truth.
So I lied.
About everything?
No. Only about my mother.
She's here somewhere, isn't she? Unless she's not really your mother. She's just somebody who's paying you to lie.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, go on. Go on, and I'll be happy to call the police and the VA and the Immigration Service and the newspapers and let them know what's going on here.
I'm sorry for the lie about my mother, but you lied as well. To my grandmother. I knew who she was as soon as I saw her, just as you did when you first saw me. I lied to protect my mother until I knew the truth.
The truth about what?
About whether you were still protecting my father from me.
Why would I do that?
Because we're hated. In Vietnam, we're the children of a war with the face of an American. And here we're hated because we remind our fathers of a place they want to forget.
Johnny wasn't like that. If he's your father, it's because he loved your mother. And he would have done anything to see her again. And help raise his son.
If that's true, then there is something that I want from you. Meet my mother. Tell her that. So she can die knowing the truth.
Women should have the right to expect that the courts will protect them during what may be, Your Honor, the most vulnerable periods of their lives. That is, the time they decide to have a child. Now, I think what Mr. Johnson did was appalling. He waited for just the right time, and then he preyed upon the natural instinct of a woman to have a child, and in doing so, he took the choice of not signing that contract away from her. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Schilling's closing was admittedly a moving argument supporting the rights of mothers. And who can argue with that? But what about the child's right to be raised by a father who did nothing wrong but tried to protect them with love in the form of a contract? A contract which was entered into by two informed and willing adults. Your Honor, children everywhere should have the right to expect a fair and unbiased decision when their parents step into the courtroom to battle for their future. They should also have the right to expect that their parents' gender will not tip the scales of justice in one direction or another, and that the court's decisions will be determined by the specifics of each and every case brought before it, and not based on outdated notions of which gender is more capable of giving love and raising a family and which one's not. And so I ask you, Your Honor, to recognize the equal importance of mothers and fathers, so that regardless of the court's final determination today, justice will have taken a step in the right direction.
I want to know, Collier.
You could end up finding out some things from her about Johnny that you might be better off not knowing.
After all he went through, how could I be afraid of that? He was only a 19-year-old boy fighting an ugly, scary war 10,000 miles away from home with his friends dying all around him. I want to know the person that he found to love in the middle of that.
Well, just wait a couple days. The kids can stay with your mom. I'll be done with my job. I want to go with you.
I can't wait. I don't know if I will ever find out the truth in this, but I do know that Johnny would want me to meet her. I can't wait.
Shook. I got a feeling the moment you look in that woman's eyes, you're going to know in your heart whether any of this is true. love you.
Tell him that you don't feel the same, or tell him that you changed your mind.
I don't have a choice here, Squirt.
Please tell him that you don't want to go to no stupid war. Just tell him, please.
I can't.
But why?
Because when you enlist, it's like making a promise. And I've got a responsibility now to our country. And a man has to honor that responsibility.
Please, Johnny, stay here for me.
I can't. I love you so much, Mary Elizabeth.
I love you too. Wait. Me and Renee made you something. A little something so you wouldn't forget us.
This is beautiful. I'm gonna have Mama sew this right here over my heart.
Bye, Johnny.
Well, this ain't goodbye, Squirt. It's just I'll see you later.
I'm scared about Johnny.
Oh, yeah, me too, Mary Elizabeth, but he said you could write him every day, remember? And he said he'd write you back every time. And he will, too, 'cause I know Johnny, and I know that when he says he's gonna do something, he does it. Right?
MedTech, room 1218. MedTech, room 1218. What's going on? I don't know. Dr. Patterson, Dr. Patterson, radiology, please. Medical staff rounds will be held in schedule. Medical staff rounds will be held in schedule.
He was right.
Excuse me?
Johnny said you're a beautiful girl.
Thank you.
Here, sit here.
Dr. please call the page operator.
Oh, you feel warm.
I'm not quite sure how I feel right now.
I understand.
Water?
Thank you. Sure. Tuan. Did he write of me?
Actually, he didn't write very much, and when he did, it was mostly about how the trees smelled after the rain and the color of the sky. That it was kind of like Florida. And then towards the end, he really didn't write at all. So we always wondered what his last days must have been like.
I'm sorry. I don't know much of his last days. But time we had together, he was happy. You should take comfort in that. When I see him again, soon, what should I tell him from his sister?
I don't know. You can tell him that I love him. And that I miss him. And I wish that I had tried harder to stop him. And you should also tell him to stay put, because now one day his whole family can be together again. You can also tell them they still don't let women play baseball.
Having determined that both parents are equally capable of raising these children, I looked to the contract, and I found it to be fair and fully understood by both parties. However, it is the opinion of this court that the petitioner was under an extraordinary amount of duress at the time of its signing, which is after the marriage vow and not before. And since it is also this court's opinion that children were an implied promise of the marriage, this court rules in favor of the petitioner and will not enforce the terms of this prenatal agreement. Adjourn.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
But you know, this ruling only applies to the contract itself. You still have a chance in a standard custody case.
I know. Don't worry, I'm not giving up. My children are too important. Thanks.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Shug.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, he left this for us. He left a note, too. For many years, my father's things were my only key to his heart. Thanks to all of you, I no longer need them. Your nephew and cousin, Tuan.
This letter's from you, Mom.
God, I remember writing this like it was yesterday. The good news is I hit 2 home runs and stole third base. Me and Collier are still going steady.
The bad news is that every day on TV they show pictures of where you are. There's lots of helicopters and rain and people getting hurt. I gotta go now. I'll write you every day, but this isn't goodbye, Johnny. It's just, I'll see you later.